Hey guys, it's Charles here, Liquor CEO. It's been a hot minute since I put some content out, so I'm back at it. Really took some time to, tread water a little bit and see how COVID was going to impact the marketing of brands, the logistics of new brands, how it's going to change the consumption of brands, how hard it's going to be to get into distribution. There's just a lot of changes that were coming down the pipeline, and I really wanted to take my time to sit back and be in it, but to really absorb it and understand what was going on so I could come back with some relevant content for you guys. We've had a lot of inquiries recently over the past several months, folks wanting to get into the space. Understandably so. Listen, the liquor business is first and foremost a business. If you want to do a hobby, that's fine. You can do your craft little breweries or your little craft distilleries or your little craft wineries, on the side at home. That's fair. But, honestly, I'm more focused on the business aspect of this industry. So if you're looking to really get into this space, understand that it is a business first and foremost. So what I've noticed a lot about calls lately is there's really a lot of misunderstanding and confusion about what does it take financially to get into this space. And I broke it down to three buckets. There's brand development. There's buying your initial inventory that you're going to sell. And there's the marketing and activation of this inventory in a market or a series of markets as part of that distribution plan. I'm going to just cut you some real talk here. If you're not looking at upwards of $75,000 to just develop a brand, and you're really kind of missing the boat here. There are firms that will do this for sets amounts of money, and that's great. My opinion, and I've done this for several brands that I personally own, and I've done this for several brands that I have nothing to do with in terms of equity, but I am an alignment partner with them in terms of developing these brands and taking them to market. And I know for a fact that my brands are well into the six figures in development. There are other brands that get very close to 100,000 in terms of the overall cost just to develop the brand. So you need to really be looking at 50 to 75,000 just to develop the brand. That includes legal, trademarking, all your agreements with your alignment, co-packing partners, distillery partners, everything like that. But I want you guys to have some real talk here. I don't want you to think that this is a $5,000 project, because it is not, in my opinion. If you really want to make a stink in the liquor business with a brand that's going to be taken seriously and have a legitimate shot at making a business out of this, you're looking at, like I said, $50,000 to $75,000 easy. In terms of your inventory, you need to figure out, how much you're going to need, and that's going to be based upon how many markets you want to launch. My opinion is that for a new brand, unless you've got some serious seven-figure legs to really kind of capitalize on and to turn to as a resource, you need to be looking at 1 to 2 markets to debut for proof of concept, to really iron out the kinks and to understand the nuances of what it's going to take to actually activate a brand. Depending on the type of product or spirit you're working on, that can be anywhere from 5,000 to 10 to 12,000 bottles just to start. That is variable as well, because if you have a very aggressive marketing campaign, you would need a lot more. So for instance, I'm working on an RTD right now. We have 9,000 cases, and each case has 24 cans in it. So there's 9,000 cases, and that's 132 pallets of product. And that's for 3 markets. And there's an ongoing conversation about, is it going to be 2 or is it going to be 3, just to make sure that conservatively we have enough inventory to handle that. At those costs, you're very rapidly, in an RTD space, you're very rapidly looking at getting into the few $100,000s of inventory just in the RTD space. In a bottled product, say a vodka, I would probably say you're looking at, $65,000, $75,000, depending on if it's a domestic or an imported product, of which there's a lot of that's going to be excise tax, or the liquor tax. Depending upon the spirit, your tequilas can get you upwards into, $10, $12, $15 a bottle cost per bottle. So you're looking at 120,000 right there just to have a full 40-foot container of that brought across. So I think you need to understand that these numbers very quickly, just for that product inventory piece, can get up over $100,000 really quick. The marketing and activation and branding, the activation and the launch and the debut of that product in a market. Again, I've had market research just to really understand who we're talking to and how to talk to them and understand their attitudinal and behavioral patterns. That can get you up into the six figures very easily too. I don't necessarily think you need to have that for every category. And the quality of the firm that you align with will, if they're actively debuting products and brands in that category, will have this information on hand that they can repackage, repurp for you. We have a vodka, a tequila, we have a rum, we have Irish craft beer, we have mead, we have a mezcal, we have gin. We have several categories. We have cognac. We have several categories that we're actively working on. So we have nuanced market research for those spirits, those categories. So there might be some fine tuning to figure out if your brand's a more youthful brand. We may need to skew that down if the brand I'm working on tends to skew a little bit more millennial versus, Gen X versus, really young Gen Z. So we really want to understand that. But you need to accrue some money for the marketing and activation. And that's just the study. For the research or for the actual plan to actually activate, do events, samples, tastings, promos, incentives, quality discounts, very easily, I like to tell people $10,000 to $20,000 per month per market. That to me is a reasonable, and it can vary up and down just a little bit, but that's going to get the attention of the distributors and really get them to understand that, if complement that with a good plan, that you know what you're doing, you have the legs to do it, and you're serious about your brands. One final note here is that I think it's very important that your brand and products are dominant in your hometown. As a founder, you need to own and put the flag in the ground in your turf. And because if you go to another market, another city, another distributor, another state, they're going to ask you, well, how are you doing in your hometown or your initial launch market? If you don't own that, I personally think you're fighting an uphill battle at that point. So own your hometown or own your initial market, whatever it turns out to be, and do it well. So there you go. 3 buckets. Brand development, 75,000. Product inventory, I would accrue 100 to 150, maybe 200,000, depending upon your category of spirit that you're doing. And I would probably accrue another 100 to 150,000 or ish for the first 6 months of marketing and activation. And that's the rule of thumb there is about, $10,000 to $20,000 per month. If you really want to slow roll at 10,000, if you really want to do it mainstream, 20,000, I think that's going to get the attention of the distributors. Happy to help out. Any questions, liquorceo@gmail.com. Hit me up at 40-80spirits.com. Shoot me a line there. Happy to answer any questions and help you. But listen, I want you guys to have the realistic expectation here of what it takes to get in this space. If you don't have it, honestly, it just exponentially increases your risk in the space, and I don't think you should do it. But happy to answer any questions anytime. Good luck. Cheers. Drink a lot this summer. Enjoy craft brands. They're out there for your enjoyment, and there's some good stuff out there. I know this. I make a few. Have a good day, guys.